sitting in the parking lot. She hits the button on the coffee pot. Blinds go up, it's the start of a brand new day. 6 o'clock when the doors unlock. Old Ken asks if the coffee's hot, just in case they were serving it cold today. Pine Tree Store, where you get a lot more than you bargain for. Pine Tree Store, buy a pizza or a paddle or a potpourri, and if you're a Maine guide, you get your coffee free. Listen to a tale from the Liar's Bench, buddy, you'll be glad you went to the Pine Tree Store, where everybody finds what they're looking for. Some folks come to town from away, pop in the store and stay all day. Watch the world slow down in a brand new way. Passing time in the old pine tree, people feel like family. It's a way of life so hard to find today. Pine Tree Store, where you get a lot more than you bargain for. Pine Tree Store, 3 bass plugs and a bottle of Coke, 2 trout flies and a corncob smoke, a little live bait and the latest joke, 6 Bud Lights, that's all she wrote. Welcome to the other state of Maine, man, you'll be glad you came to the Pine Tree Store, where everybody finds what they're looking for. Where you get a lot more than you bargain for. Pine Tree Store, where everybody finds what they're looking for. Still rolls out of bed at 4, though he don't have to anymore. Checks the water and the wind, like he was on the job again. And he returns and she's awake, with all those damn pills to take. Even so, they make the most of coffee and a piece of toast. And somewhere she knows exactly where his mind goes. On the water, on the trails, this time of day it never fails. Then again he's out the door for a paper at the store. Takes a turn around the dock. If no one's there, he'll skip a rock. When he returns, he'll watch her bake an apple crisp or coffee cake. Find her hand around his wrist, on his forehead find a kiss. And somewhere she knows exactly where his mind goes. On the water, on the trails, this time of day it never fails. Old Maine Guide. There's so much inside the old Maine Guide, and it's in his eyes that somewhere he knows, no matter where his mind goes, everything is safe beside the old Maine Guide. 5 o'clock they make the rounds, see the changes in the town, spot an old familiar face, another time, another place, but somewhere she knows exactly where his mind goes. On the water, down the trails, this time of day it never fails. Oh, Maine Guide, there's so much inside the old Maine Guide. Almost never cries, 'cause somewhere he knows, no matter where his mind goes, everything is safe beside the old Maine Guide. He still rolls out of bed at 4, though he don't have to anymore. Checks the water and the wind, like he was on the job again.
And who are you?
Well, I'm Edith Sprague, and I'm a want-to-be. And I really do want to be. I am not a native of Grand Lake Stream, but it is my home. And I was born down in Brunswick, Maine, and we had to leave because my father lost his job for the Pajevska Paper Company closed. And my grandmother lived in Princeton on a farm. So we came so that we could have eggs and milk and chicken.
Was this during the Depression?
This was at the end of the Depression. They were at the end of the bread lines. And things weren't that good for a few years.
How many in your family?
5 children, my parents.
And they've all gone now.
They have.
How did you first come to Grand Lake?
Well, I got out of high school when I was 16, and things weren't so good to get a job, and I couldn't go in the service, which most of the kids from my class did. They were 18 and I was 16. I wasn't old enough. So I went to work in the U.S. Pegwood and Shank Mill in Princeton, and then I worked at Furbish's store, and I lived with George and Edith Fennelson in that place that's for sale now. It's a summer camp that's for sale right on the main street in Princeton. I don't know what the name of it
The
is.
big white place by the bridge.
I lived with them. Well, at the time, the prisoner of war camp was in Princeton, and at the canteen, wherever you call that thing, they had dances every Saturday night, and I met Sonny there at the prisoner of war camp. And then after that, he was 18 years old, went in the service, and his mother was having Sammy. So she needed someone to help her. So I came to Grand Lake Stream. He went in the service, and I came to Grand Lake, and I lived with them for 2 years. I lived at the Birches. They were caretaking there, and I worked with Aunt Lil Bacon up there, and then I worked at Weatherby's, and then I worked at Guy Bonus's, and then Sonny come home, and we got married, and from then on, I don't remember detail of how each thing happened, but
And how many children do you have?
I have two, Bonnie and Beth, twins.
That must have been hard.
Well, it's the easiest thing I ever did, was have Bonnie and Beth.
But two at the same time must have been hard when you didn't have...
Well, they were born at home. Dr. Jacob delivered them down to Grammy's house, and I think that all of them had had a few drinks. And when Bonnie came first, breech birth, they had to put her in the tub to keep her alive from hot to cold water, but she paved the way. Beth come out one arm, one leg. They turned her, and everything went fine after that.
So, did you stay in Grand Lake or did you move away?
We stayed in Grand Lake as long as we could because there were no jobs, and Stephen Sprague got Sonny a job in Underwood in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So we moved there. When we left, Bill Sprague gave us $20. My father gave us $20, and we stopped to see Sonny's grandmother. His grandfather had just died, so we gave her $20. We went to Bridgeport, moved about 6 times the first week because there were cockroaches everywhere we moved. Then finally, we got a house in Long Hill and lived there for a while. Then we bought a place down in Bridgeport.
When did you move back to Grand Lake?
Oh, my. I don't know the year. I don't know how old.
We were 8.
So, you were born in 47, you add the 8 onto it. That's when we came back and we bought Indian Rock Camps.
And,
We owned them for 17 years.
you know, and what type of camps were they?
Well, at the time, all camps in Grand Lake Stream were very formal. We had white linen tablecloths and white linen napkins, and we had to run them through the mangle, hang them on the line to dry, and you set it up. I think all of the customs came from Canada and England because Weatherby's were from there, and Guy Bonus was from there, and I think that's how they got so formal.
So, what year, do you know when you sold camps?
I don't know. I was 45. Add that up.
And then you moved where?
Well, I moved over here to this house, this mixed house. This house belonged to some doctors from Boston. They were neurosurgeons, Austrian. And this was the first summer camp in Grand Lake Stream. And Sonny's grandfather built it. When they got rid of it, they sold it to us for $1,500 with all the antiques in it, which are mostly gone now. And I still have Dr. Mixter's cane hanging on the fireplace there. But they used to take children's tonsils out on the table that's in the kitchen. When they would come, there'd be kids lined up here to have their tonsils out. They were pretty famous doctors, very sweet.
And then after you moved over here, didn't you you started a business?
Well, we had a takeout down at the store for a while, not very long. I went to Europe. When I come back, Beth had closed it. I left her in charge.
And then what did Sonny do?
He built canoes. He worked in the mill. He built canoes.
Guided?
He guided. He did quite a few things, and he remodeled this house, tore all the floors out, and redid the walls, and he didn't stop. He was a worker.
And then at that time too, he built a camp.
He built a
Dyer
camp
Cove.
up in Dyer Cove. And I had him almost trained, and he died.
Now, Daddy, Sonny was born and brought up in Grand Lake Stream. is
He
that
was
correct?
born in Grand Lake Stream. His father was born in Grand Lake Stream. His grandfather, and I think his great-grandfather were born in Grand Lake Stream.
And he spent a lot of the time on the lake.
He did. He guided a lot. When a child, he would, his mother and father stayed up the Birches one winter. He stayed with Aunt Fay White, and on the weekends he would ride to where George Darrow's camp is now. He'd ride up the lake on his bicycle on the ice, and then come back to school Monday morning.
So he was really glad to come back to Grand Lake Stream.
He was. Grand Lake Stream was him.
That's who he is.
Well, he was Grand Lake Stream.
Right.
Yeah, I tried to train him the way I was, but he died. I had it almost made. But that's a synopsis of my life, and I want to.
What do you, when looking back on your years of Grand Lake Stream, what were some of the things that you loved about it?
I loved the people. They were unique people. Each one was a character in his own right, and I had some dear, dear friends, Mary Moore, Edith Sprague, and Pip Moore. And I miss them when I want to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one to ask anymore except Sophie Melanson.
So what was it like when you first came to Grand Lake Stream?
There was no running water. There was no electricity. It was like the rest of the country around.
Was
And-
it paved roads or?
No, there was a dirt road coming into Grand Lake Stream. And in the spring, they used to go out, Horace White used to go out to Mushquash, and somebody would bring the mail in that far. Then they had a boat there, a canoe. They traveled across the stream with it to Horace to bring it into Grand Lake Stream.
What were some of the things that you women did in town? I mean, it was a close group of people, was it not?
Oh, they entertained themselves. They had, in the evening, the ladies visited. I'm not sure what the men did, but the ladies had candy pulls, or they'd go skating or sliding with the children. And I lived on the street now that Sammy's house is on. I don't know what the name of the street
Back
is.
Street?
But there were 35 people lived on Back Street. Now no one lives there except Sammy in the winter. And Ethel Bacon and Compy and the three boys, Grampy Moore, Pip and that whole family, Marion Vale and theirs, the Berry family, Stub Nellie Yates, and it was
Benny and
Benny Stella Chambers. They're all gone.
I know it. Were you a member of the Circle Club?
I was.
1030 Club?
I thought that's what they told
I was, I belonged to 1030 Club. I helped when they took over the schoolhouse to repair. I made the curtains that are hanging there now. With the help of Hamza, we put a new floor in. And then the Circle building, we used to go there and did a lot of crafts. I was treasurer of the Grand Lake Stream Church for about 11 years. And I have a story that goes with that. When Beth's daughter, Marlene, was just little, they lived in Connecticut. She come home and stayed with me 2 weeks. We went to church. After church, I went out and got the money, put it in my pocket, and we come home. The next week, we went, I got the money, put it in my pocket, and she looked up at me and she says, "Did you win again, Graham?" But I have a lot of fond memories. I erased the ones that weren't.
Now, the 1030 Club,
Mm-hmm.
that was when I was little that you had that 1030 Club. And who went to that? You had them in everybody's house.
Oh my. I have to dig deep in my memory. Alice Weatherby and Ruth Wheaton, Pip Moore. Oh, isn't that awful? I can't remember all the people that went. I think there were about 10 or 12 that went.
And what did you do, this 1030 Club?
Well, we talked a lot about people, but beyond that, I don't remember anything
Why was it
specific.
called the 1030 Club?
Because we got through at 10:30 at night.
I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's been a lot of changes in Grand Lake since you...
There have been, there's been a change in the people, but the people that have come in to town now, when you get to know them, people are people. And I find any that I know, I don't know who lives in houses. I don't know anyone. Someone will mention somebody's name. I say, "Who's that?" But I think they're doing a lot, and I think they're trying to get the town going again.
We're going to take a little break right now, Edith, and we'll be back shortly.
Thank you.
Riding with a passenger I picked up along the way. He was quiet for a long time until I heard him say, "Friend, I'm quite surprised you don't recognize me yet. I guess it's true what they say, how soon they do forget. But friend, this ain't the first time I've hitched a ride with you, traveling on these same dirt roads like we used to do. What's different now is how you hear what I have to say. That's just the way I'm traveling these days. They say Sonny's gone, but I say they're wrong. I was talking to him only yesterday. They say Sonny's gone, but he's been here all along. That's just the way he's traveling these days. 6 months ago, a friend of mine up and passed away. Long before I ever heard all he had to say. In quiet times he rides beside me just like yesterday. That's just the way he's traveling these days. They say Sonny's gone, but I say they're wrong. I was talking to him only yesterday. They say Sonny's gone, but he's been here all along. That's just the way he's traveling these days. close my eyes and listen to the summer wind. And by I'll see his face and hear his voice again. They say Sonny's gone, but I say they're wrong. I was talking to him only yesterday. They say Sonny's gone, but he's been here all along. That's just the way he's traveling these days. That's just the way. That's just the way he's traveling these days.
I ever made. Pip Moore showed me how, and she said, "Where's your thimble?" I said, "I don't use one." She says, "Then you don't quilt." But I started then when Pip and Pop were up to Bernard's. Was when I made my first quilt. And I've been doing it off and on. I've made a lot of quilts and I've given them all away. I gave, after Pip made them for the Historical Society, then when she passed away I started making them, but I gave it up a year or two ago and Bonnie started.
So, over the years, your quilts have matured. When you first started out, they were everything was brown and plaids and...
Yeah, and they all were traditional quilts. Now I like crazy ones.
And this is a crazy one. This you just have the top done, right?
Yeah, I did that. I did 4 this winter,
So this
and
is
they
one
have to
of
be
them.
quilted. We can just chuck it and I'll fold it later.
Now, this isn't an applique.
No.
This is piece.
This is just piecing, yeah.
And this is another top that she's done, and needs to be quilted. And do you use...
I don't hand quilt them now because it takes a year to hand quilt. And I don't have enough. That's 4 years. That's a lot of years.
Then this is another one she's just finished.
Well, I haven't quilted it yet. Wait, you got it going the right way? No. This is the way, I think. Isn't it?
That's pretty. Now this is appliqued.
That's all appliqued, the leaves, the Dresden plates, everything is appliqued onto there. The only sewing is sewing it together and some of the points and the border.
And this is all done in silks, isn't it?
Satins.
Satins.
Yep.
Satins. And it's appliqued as well.
I don't even remember when I made this, it's so old.
It's really pretty. And this you didn't quilt. This is when you was tacking.
Yeah,
The
this is
difference between
way
the
back
quilting
when I was tacking.
Tacking.
Yeah.
And this is the way they used to put their quilts together years ago, is they'd all get together and they'd tack it.
Put it on a table. It's going the wrong way, but it's all right.
This is one that my sister made, and this again is all appliqued. And she had another one that was a beautiful one with, was it roses on it, Mama?
Birds.
Birds on it. And at the Folk Art Festival we showed the quilts that we had made, and some Helen Sprague wanted to buy it, so she bought that quilt from Beth. And Beth has now made another one with the birds on it. But this here is all hand appliqued. Not hand
I think
quilted.
we're appliquing now more than we are sewing because it's easier to sit in the chair and recline than it is to set up to a sewing machine.
I did one like this, didn't I? No? This here is a combination of sewing and applique, and this one is hand quilted. So this took my mother about a year to hand quilt it. But now it's so much easier to just take it to a quilter because they have the long arm quilting machines and you get it back in a week and it looks good. And why don't you tell us about this?
Well, this is Swedish weaving. It's done with just yarns, and it's almost like doing cross stitch, but it's called Swedish weaving. It's done on monk's cloth. And I had a lot of these, but I don't anymore.
This is the only one you have.
I did a lot of cross stitch, and then these are penny rugs. There's more than that.
These are penny rugs that she's done. Again, these are all
That's
applique.
a penny rug on there. And
This is a penny rug. And this is a penny rug that my sister did. I think she just did this last year.
Mm-hmm.
But we've all done these. And
she did that cushion there.
And it's done with felt material. And years ago, like this one here, why they're called penny rugs. Why don't you tell them, Mom?
Well, they put a penny in each one of these things to hold them down, is what originally the penny rug came from.
Yep. She's done everything from knit to crochet to penny rugs to Swedish weaving.
Hooking, rug hooking.
Rug hooking.
Cross
She did
stitch.
this rug here.
Oh, where's that?
She hooked this rug.
And that black one
And this
behind.
black one over here. This is counted cross stitch, right? Mm-hmm. And what size Aida cloth do you use on this?
I don't know, probably 14 count.
Whoops, that's my phone. Excuse me, I'll go shut it off. This time with you, Morris, we thank you for coming. We heard a little bit about the Edith Sunny story. There's a lot more to tell, but I'm sure it's something that she could do with humor, but because she's such a lady, she has been really behaving herself today. And I hope you enjoyed her quilting. She's a very talented woman, and I love her with all my heart, and she personifies Grand Lake Stream.
He still rolls out of bed at 4, though he don't have to anymore. Checks the water and the wind like he was on the job again. And he returns and she's awake with all those damn pills to take. Even so, they make the most of coffee and a piece of toast. And somewhere she knows exactly where his mind goes. On the water, on the trails, this time of day it never fails. Then again he's out the door for a paper at the store. Takes a turn around the dock. If no one's there, he'll skip a rock. When he returns, he'll watch her bake an apple crisp or coffee cake. Find her hand around his wrist, on his forehead find a kiss. And somewhere she knows exactly where his mind goes. On the water, on the trails, this time of day it never fails. Old Maine Guide, there's so much inside the old Maine Guide, and it's in his eyes that somewhere he knows, no matter where his mind goes, everything is safe beside the old Maine Guide. 5 o'clock, they make the rounds, see the changes in the town, spot an old familiar face, another time, another place, but somewhere she knows exactly where his mind goes. On the water, down the trails, this time of day it never fails. Old Maine Guide, there's so much inside the old Maine Guide. Almost never cries, 'cause somewhere he knows, no matter where his mind goes, everything is safe beside the old Maine Guide. He still rolls out of bed at 4, though he don't have to anymore. Checks the water and the wind, like he was on the job again.